What happened in court today is precisely what we wanted to happen. The High Court certified that we had raised a point of law of general public importance, and that the Supreme Court has good grounds to hear this appeal. The situation now is that the Supreme Court has to decide whether it will hear the appeal. But make no mistake, we won today in court. But let's not forget that every time we win, as long as this case isn't dropped, as long as Julian isn't freed, Julian continues to suffer. For almost 3 years, he's been in Belmarsh prison, and he is suffering profoundly, day after day, week after week, year after year. Julian has to be freed, and we hope that this will soon end. But we are far from achieving justice in this case because Julian has been incarcerated for so long, and he should not have spent a single day in prison. If there had been justice, the officials who plotted, who conspired to murder Julian would be in the courtroom right now. If there were justice, the crimes that Julian exposed, war crimes, the killing of innocent civilians, would not be impugned. Our fight goes on, and we will fight this until Julian is free.
There's still to add, but the point that is being raised here in this court was the absurdity that after the magistrate court came to a decision, the Americans were allowed to bring forth the so-called assurances that they would treat Julian fairly if and when he was extradited to the United States. Everybody that has looked into those so-called assurances have condemned them and judged them as not being worth the paper they are written on. The American government has made such assurances before, and they have broken those assurances. They actually entail in those assurances the clause that they can change their mind at any moment. So it's not worth anything. But as Stella says, the fight will continue, and it will not end until Julian is freed from Belmarsh prison and until the US government drops this case, which is a blatant and serious attack on press freedom worldwide. But this today was a partial victory, but as Stella says, the punishment goes on. It's a punishment by process, a serious human rights violation. The torture is ongoing in Belmarsh prison. He has been there for more than 1,000 days. That is happening here in this country today. That is the news item of the day.
So, from Reporters Without Borders, I would just like to add, again, we welcome this decision. This is a positive step. It's not far enough yet, but it is a step in the right direction. This case is historical. It will be hugely precedent-setting. It will have implications for journalism and press freedom in the UK, in the US, and internationally for many years to come. It deserves review by the highest court in this land, and so we very much hope that the Supreme Court will accept this appeal. As others have said as well, the situation that Julian Assange himself is in is very urgent. We have serious concerns about his well-being at Belmarsh prison. The long-standing mental health issues are well documented. We have concerns about his physical health as well, especially knowing what we know now about the mini stroke that he suffered in October and about the reports of rising COVID infections in the prison again at this time. He is not safe as long as he is there. He should be immediately released whilst this process is ongoing. So from Reporters Without Borders, we will continue to campaign to free Assange. We call on the Biden administration again to drop the charges, to close this case once and for all. This legal process does not have to continue. It is in the power of those in the U.S. government to put a stop to this at any time. They can do so. And we will continue to be here and to monitor any further legal proceedings in this case.
This by no means guarantees an appeal for Julian Assange today, but what it does do is give him renewed hope that he may apply to the Supreme Court for an appeal against his extradition to the US. And it was the same two judges who made that decision in December that he could be extradited to the US, that held this 90-second hearing today at the High Court, where they ruled that they wouldn't be able to give leave for an appeal themselves, but that Julian Assange and his supporters could go on to apply for an appeal to the Supreme Court. So it does now give Julian Assange and his fiancée, Stella Moris, who we just heard from there, one of his most vocal supporters, some hope that they could potentially overturn this decision. Now, I should say that Julian Assange faces 18 charges against him in the US, including breaking a spying law, and he's wanted over an alleged conspiracy to obtain and disclose highly classified information from the National Defence Centre following WikiLeaks publication of hundreds of thousands of classified documents in 2010. Now, for Julian Assange's supporters, he's a valiant campaigner of truth. To his critics, he's endangered lives by exposing highly classified secret information. But for many, this extradition to the US undermines the foundations of democracy and press freedoms in both countries, and it's raised a great deal of concern here. And as Stella Moris, Julian Assange's fiancée, highlighted there, he remains in Belmarsh Prison, the highest security prison here in the UK. And she's said that Julian Assange has already served far longer in Belmarsh Prison than prisoners who have committed violent crimes. They have two very young children together. He fathered two young children with Stella Moris during his time in the Ecuadorian embassy. She says they have no recollection of their father outside of a maximum security prison. And if he were to be extradited to the US, he could be sentenced to up to 175 years in prison. So there's still a long road ahead for Julian Assange and his supporters today, but certainly renewed hope that they may be able to appeal his extradition to America.